Coming up, the latest on the murders at the Israeli embassy in D.C. and the accused killer's Chicago connections. Mayor Johnson faces heat from the feds over accusations of racially motivated hiring at City Hall. And we're toasting the life and career of Cheers star George Wendt. Plus, outdoor activities to start summer right. What to do with Pope Leo's old Dalton home. And an exhibit to get your spidey senses tingling. This is your Fox 32 Chicago Week in Review.
A memorial service on a sidewalk in Washington, D.C. this afternoon to remember a young couple in love and days away from being engaged. Yaron Lashinsky and Sarah Milgram, two Israeli embassy staffers, gunned down outside the Capitol Jewish Museum on a rainy Wednesday night. Authorities say a man from Chicago was seen pacing outside the museum. They say he opened fire before walking inside and shouting, "Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine!" Elias Rodriguez now in custody. Witness Katie Kalisher recorded the video after speaking to the suspect.
He looked very scared, but I thought it was because he had just witnessed a murder. I didn't think for a second he was actually the murderer.
In cases where the death penalty is warranted and seems appropriate, we will use it. It's far too early to say whether that is the case.
Investigators combing through writings they believe Rodriguez authored. The federal and local response, rapid.
I spoke to Prime Minister Netanyahu. I was on the phone with Donald Trump all evening long.
Yaron Lashinsky's father says his son was prepared to propose to Sarah Milgram in Israel, but wanted to introduce her to his family first. He tells Fox they were in love, one for the other. The embassy told us they were like a star couple at the embassy. I never expected something like this. He had his whole life before him. The shooting highlighting a growing rise in anti-Semitism across the country, one the Justice Department hopes to stop. Yoni Kalin, another witness to the shooting.
I want people to know that anti-Semitism and hate is very real in this country.
Authorities say more charges could be on the way, and the death penalty could also be on the table.
Neighbors here are stunned by this news. We are learning that Rodriguez graduated from UIC as an English major. He reportedly worked for the History Makers Digital Archive, a nonprofit here in Chicago, and the American Osteopathic Information Association. In the hours after two Israeli embassy staffers were gunned down in D.C., FBI agents raided the alleged shooter's Albany Park apartment. Located in the 4,000 block of North Troy, they were seen removing file boxes and towing the 31-year-old's light gold Hyundai sedan. The connection is coming as a shock to neighbors, like John Wayne Fry, who lives next door.
On the outside of his door, there's a Hello Kitty sign. I mean, he seemed like a normal, friendly guy.
In Rodriguez's apartment window, a poster remains. It says "Justice for Wadia," referring to Wadia Al-Fayumi, the 6-year-old suburban Palestinian-American boy who was stabbed to death by his landlord in a hate crime in 2023.
That gave me the impression that they were very, very sensitive people.
Court documents reveal that on Tuesday, Rodriguez took a United Airlines flight from O'Hare to Reagan National Airport with the firearm he'd purchased in 2020 stowed in his checked bag. Wayne Fry says the two never spoke of politics, but now wishes it had come up.
I wish that I would have talked him out of it.
Consul General of Israel to the Midwest, Yinam Cohen, is expressing devastation over the heinous act.
And this is really, really scary because it could have happened here in Chicago.
And says it reinforces the need for local support.
What I told leadership here in the city is this is a time not just for words, but for actions. We need to see de-escalation, but also to see concrete actions against those who use this toxic and insightful language against us.
Neighbors say a woman lived with Rodriguez, but their relationship is unclear. We've tried contacting Rodriguez's relatives, including his mother, but our calls went unanswered.
Not only fighting back, but the mayor today turning the tables on the Trump administration a little bit. 1 day after the DOJ announces the civil rights investigation into his city hall hiring practices. To quote an old blues song, he said, "Before you accuse me, take a look at yourself."
The mayor says he's not surprised by the sudden investigation launched by the DOJ, just 1 day after comments he made at a Southside church. Johnson says the Trump administration ought to look in the mirror.
You would be hard-pressed to find qualified individuals who are in his administration. As my administration reflects the country, it reflects the city. His administration reflects the country club.
Johnson made the initial comments during a Sunday conversation with Southside pastor Byron Brazier, commending himself for hiring African Americans to top city positions.
Having people in my administration that will look out for the interest of everyone, and everyone means you have to look out for the interest of black folks, because that hasn't happened. That's how we ensure long-term sustainable growth.
Today, the mayor touted the diversity of his administration, where 34% of the hires are black, 30% white, and 24% Latino.
The incredible diverse talent that we have within our administration that continues to lead us towards the safest, most affordable big city in America. We're not going to shy away or apologize for who we are.
IIT Kent College of Law professor Harold Krent says the mayor's comments don't provide much of a case for the DOJ, unless they can prove the mayor failed to hire more qualified people based on race.
The Department of Justice, to win, would ultimately have to determine that there was a pattern and practice of illegal discrimination in terms of hiring for positions within the city. I don't think they have close to that information now. If they get it, that's a different situation.
So if this investigation proceeds, it could lead to something like a consent decree where a federal court monitor would police the mayor's hiring practices here in City Hall. Of course, that's many steps away, as the DOJ just announced this investigation yesterday.
The bill is passed.
President Trump scored a major legislative victory on Thursday. The House passed his big, beautiful bill by a razor-thin margin. The final vote was 215 to 214, with one member voting present. It came after days of legislative arm twisting, some of it by Trump himself. And in the end, two Republicans voted no, Thomas Massie of Kentucky and Warren Davidson of Ohio. But House Speaker Mike Johnson says, despite the close vote, the Republican Party remains united.
The principle and the philosophy is always the same. Everybody's conservative. We believe in limited government.
As expected, no Democrats supported the bill, which extended $4.5 trillion in tax breaks and slashes spending to make up for the shortfall.
You have consistently proven to be nothing more than a rubber stamp for Donald Trump's extreme agenda.
Now the bill heads to the Senate, with House Republicans urging few changes, saying negotiations to bring the two chambers together are already underway.
We've been talking to the Senate for a long time, but it's their turn to take this bill and move forward.
But Democrats say they'll keep fighting to make sure key parts of the Trump agenda are stripped from the bill.
To be clear, this bill would hurt the most vulnerable Americans, and the most benefits would only reach the top wealthiest.
Republicans are expected to use a special budget process to get around a possible Democratic filibuster in the Senate.
Republican Congressman Darren Le Hood, he's not going to be a holdout. He is voting yes on this bill. He's vowing that it will not kick any Illinoisans off of Medicaid or food stamp programs. It'll just root out waste, fraud, and abuse, he says. Now, the Peoria Republican also says he doesn't support higher state and local tax deductions that could give Illinois with high property taxes a tax break. Le Hood voted for the bill in committee, says he believes it will supercharge the economy while protecting the estimated 3.1 Illinoisans on Medicaid.
Medicaid is going to remain in place for the most vulnerable, the people that need it. Now, I will tell you this, Paris, if you're an able-bodied adult and you're on Medicaid and we can move you into a job, we're going to do that. We have 7 million unfilled jobs in the country right now. So if we can reduce your dependence on Medicaid by giving you a job, we ought to be doing that. But for people that are seniors, people that are developmentally disabled, for single moms, Medicaid is going to be there and should be there for the people that need it the most.
Now, here's the other reason for the holdout among Republicans. They say it will add trillions of dollars to the deficit over many years, and independent budget analysis confirmed that. Now, that's been a sore spot with the Freedom Caucus of Republicans. Trump has met with them this afternoon, attempting to calm down those concerns. And Republicans, because they have majorities in the House and Senate, they don't need Democrats. So it means they have to iron out their own differences before a potential vote tomorrow, Friday. Meanwhile, we all know there's a competitive Senate race here in Illinois for Dick Durbin's Senate seat. 3 Democrats are vying for the position. Does Le Hood want to make a go of it on the Republican side?
Open Senate seats in Illinois don't come around very often. We want to make sure we're competitive. There's a lot of Republicans that would love to see a conservative Republican win the U.S. Senate. And I think that's doable in 2026. So I'm going to continue to talk to people that I respect and also my constituents on that, and we'll give it a hard look.
The mayor during tonight's meeting said they are waiting on the Bears for the next move, but as soon as they have something to share with the public, they will. As you know, the Chicago Bears already own a plot of land where the former Arlington racetrack was once housed. And last week, team officials cited significant progress with local leaders here in Arlington Heights. Last year, the Bears unveiled these renderings for a proposed lakefront stadium, but it seems plans to remain in the city are on the back burner. Tonight, the village board held a regularly scheduled meeting where the Bears Stadium was not on the agenda, but still drew attention during public comment. One resident says the village should take advantage of the opportunity and improve life for residents.
We're in the driver's seat as a village right now. For example, this is an opportunity to negotiate even more funds for education and affordable housing, for infrastructure investment, for public works, for public health, and for safe streets, all in exchange for the massive property tax subsidies that will be given to the Bears later on.
Newly elected Mayor Jim Tenalia made clear that if and when the Bears commit to coming to the northwest suburb, the community will have a voice.
There'll be a process that is going to begin, and there'll be an enormous amount of opportunity for every resident, every business owner to become educated and participate in all the dialogue that's going to happen. And this entire board, believe me when I tell you, we'll all have something to say.
Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson says the door is still open in the city. Now, the waiting game, the Bears have the next move. When and what will it be?
This Chipotle that you see right behind me, it's been a consistent gathering place for these so-called teen takeovers. Folks that work and frequent right here in downtown Naperville say they've witnessed at least 4 or 5 of these events similarly. And they say that the young people that attend, they don't believe live in the immediate area.
So there were videos going around of a bunch of kids in Chipotle causing fights with each other, throwing each other around. The police had to come in and obviously arrest a few kids. Other than that, the police have really been on it.
Naperville police say Saturday night about 100 young adults met up on the northeast side of town, some driving reckless and lighting fireworks. Police also say on Friday, 200 teenagers were disruptive downtown. Multiple citations were issued for unlawful behavior and violating city ordinances. Among those charged, listen to this, guys, a 15-year-old girl from Aurora now facing 3 felony counts of aggravated battery to a police officer, resisting arrest, littering, and obstruction. As seen in Chicago, these events are publicized on social media. Police issued warnings in advance of zero tolerance for trespassing, disorderly conduct, or behavior putting others at risk. Also, that local businesses may refuse entry to unaccompanied minors. Naperville residents we spoke to are indeed concerned.
You know, my kids like to hang out. They go with 1 or 2 friends, or maybe even 3 or 4, but not in groups of 40. And not from they come to their own area where they're familiar. They can, but not in groups of 40.
Okay, why is that?
Because that's a mom mentality. Yeah, too many people can overcome one space.
I think they just wanted to make sure everything was safe and prevent something from happening if it was going to go down that route. But the police, in my opinion, they're just taking extra precaution.
Now, police also tell us a 20-year-old man from McHenry County was arrested yesterday after an investigation linked him to one of these teen events. His charges include reckless driving, reckless conduct, criminal damage to property, and mob action. Now, we do know that police patrols will be heightened right here downtown at special events as well as in highly populated areas.
Coming up, toasting the life and career of Cheers star George Wendt. Go inside the Brickyard at the Indy 500 and take a ride on the region's newest and scariest coaster.
Lou, what you doing?
Hey, Caitlin, I'm looking for this stream everyone's talking about.
Fox Local?
Yeah.
Get me. App Store, download Fox Local, open it, pick Chicago, boom.
Ah, that was easy. Hey, Paris. Hey, I got this stream on my phone finally.
I'm on there.
Everyone's on this thing.
Now you can watch Paris on Politics anytime, anywhere.
Hey, Anita, I'm on Fox Local.
I know, Lou. I watch you on Bears Blitz on Fox Local.
Fox Local. This is big stuff.
Glad I could help.
It was right here at Chicago's iconic Second City where George Wend would get his training in the business, eventually landing him a classic role on a bar stool where, you gotta say it, everyone knows your name. Best known for playing Norm in hit TV sitcom Cheers, the show lasting 11 seasons, some 275 episodes, a role landing him 6 consecutive Emmy Award nominations.
Nicest guy in the world, and he was so much like his character Norm from Cheers. I mean, this is a guy you really wanted to have a beer with, and you did.
George Wendt was born and raised in Chicago's Beverly neighborhood, and along with that, he was a proud Chicago Bears fan, often mentioned during his appearances on SNL.
Or dare we dream, coach of the Boss.
One of the great lines from that show was when Sam Malone, the bartender, says, "How you doing, Norm?" And he says, "It's a dog-eat-dog world, and I'm wearing milk bone underwear." Just so funny.
We caught up with Wendt's longtime friend and also the current VP of Creative Strategy here at Second City, Kelly Leonard. Wendt would study improv here while in college.
He got put up on the main stage here in Chicago. They thought he needed more seasoning. They put him back in the touring company. But then by the time he went back to the main stage, this is like late 70s, he did some amazing roles. And then he left and he was on a bunch of sitcoms, but then he got the role on Cheers.
From improv to television to Broadway. According to his publicist, the 76-year-old died this morning inside his Los Angeles home. He leaves behind his wife, Bernadette, and 3 children, also an incredible legacy.
He was part of the crew that put us in the national spotlight. You know, people like him and Bill Murray, who are just such Chicago guys. And so I think people will understand Chicago maybe more through these really brilliant comedians than maybe they will through a history book.
Now, ironically, today is the anniversary of the Cheers finale. Now, Leonard tells us he's giving the family a little bit more time before they finalize plans to honor the famed comedian here at the theater.
Chicago homicides are trending down so far this year, besting last year's number at this point by 40. On pace, if the first quarter numbers continue, to potentially finish below 400 homicides for the first time in decades. Now, that is if this trend can continue in the warm and typically violent summer months. Now, today, the mayor, police superintendent Snelling, and other public officials held the annual pre-Memorial Day safety press conference. Memorial Day, as you know, can oftentimes be one of the most violent weekends of the year. Snelling says it's not his cops alone responsible for making it a safe weekend.
Now, to get through this summer, again, and make it the most peaceful summer that we can possibly have, we are going to need everyone. Everyone has to step up. We as the police department, we're not going to arrest our way out of this. And if we can avoid making arrests, that's a good day for us.
And some of the things the city has going on, a basketball tournament in some of the higher crime neighborhoods, scores of community violence intervention workers on the streets to work hand in hand with the cops. One thing that police won't have, and that's the ability to declare a snap curfew at any time of the day. That's because the ordinance giving them the power to do that is currently on hold in City Council. But Mayor Johnson has been cool to the idea and says the decrease in homicides to this point is evidence that his approach is already working.
Shootings are down, shooting victims are down, robberies are down. All of that is the result of collective response and responsibility. Look, I remember the 90s when there was 900 people getting murdered every single year. I remember that, and we have turned the page. We're going to build the safest, most affordable big city in America, and we're going to do it together.
It's a bloodbath, and I do believe he wants to end it.
Just a few hours after a phone call with his Russian counterpart, Vladimir Putin, President Trump announced talks between Russia and Ukraine will start immediately. But that's not stopping Putin from escalating his attacks on Ukraine. The Ukrainian government says more than 100 drones were launched overnight, and more than a dozen civilians have died in the last day. And as the attacks intensify, the president is giving more hints that he could soon walk away from the bargaining table.
This isn't our war. This is not my war. This is not the war. I mean, we got ourselves entangled in something that we shouldn't have been involved in.
Moscow is also insisting on preconditions Ukraine says are non-starters, like recognizing captured territory as Russian and withdrawing Ukrainian troops from the front lines.
If Russia sets conditions for withdrawing our troops from our land, it means they don't want a ceasefire because they clearly understand that Ukraine won't do that.
The Russians now say there should be no fixed deadline to find an agreement, but with Trump saying that time is running out, Europe is stepping up. Defense ministers met on Tuesday to discuss boosting their support for Ukraine, with most agreeing Putin is not serious about ending the war.
Quite obviously, there's a lack of serious intent on the Russian side.
We see that Russia actually doesn't want to end this war.
Ukrainian officials say a high-level meeting between Ukraine, Russia, the EU, and the U.S. could help restart the peace process.
Madam Secretary, welcome to the subcommittee.
As the head of a department President Trump wants to close, Education Secretary Linda McMahon is used to being in the hot seat. And Wednesday's budget hearing was no different.
Are you planning to break the law by impounding congressionally appropriated funds?
Well, I can certainly report to you, Ranking Member, that we are evaluating every single program. We're looking at it very carefully.
But it's not just budget cuts lawmakers are concerned about. Earlier this month, the department resumed sending student loan borrowers to collections and estimates 10 million people could be in default within months.
Since May 5th and those letters going out, we have now collected almost $100 million in back loans, some on a voluntary basis, and then some is restructuring the way those folks are going to be repaying their loans.
The administration is also warring with elite universities, especially Harvard, over alleged discrimination and anti-Semitism on campus. It slashed nearly $3 billion in federal grants to the Ivy League this year, and Trump wants to take away its tax-exempt status.
I think there probably is a lot of discriminatory practices that are getting swept under the rug for now.
I think a lot of these actions seems very politicized and targeted.
Harvard sued the Trump administration for cutting its federal funding. That lawsuit is still tied up in court.
These arrests were made just hours ago. Investigators saying that one is accused of helping move 2 inmates around New Orleans. Those 2 are still on the run. The other is accused of helping inmate Corey Boyd while he was hiding, and a source close to Fox tells us that they were both girlfriends of inmates. Now, Corey Boyd was the 5th inmate to be brought back into custody. Louisiana State Police captured him last night in New Orleans and took him to a state facility. He's been in jail on a second-degree murder charge. The 5 inmates who are still on the run are facing charges for murder, battery, domestic abuse, and theft. Meanwhile, bond's been set at $1.1 million for the jail maintenance worker accused of helping the men break out. According to an arrest document, Williams told police one of the inmates threatened to shank him if he didn't help them get away. This morning, the Louisiana Attorney General tells Fox they're just trying to figure out how much inside help these inmates had.
I can tell you that we've been very methodical, we've been very thorough, and we are continuing to vet all leads related to the internal staff and organizational structure, policies, procedures, culture at the prison. You know, all of these things contributed.
Officials say the 5 inmates who remain on the run are from the area and are likely still in Louisiana. Some folks I spoke with around here say they're on guard. Others don't seem fazed at all.
Yeah, it's safe. I feel like the inmates that was around the French Quarter, they gone, and the rest of them should be real full by now.
I've seen more cops around recently, so it makes me feel a little bit more safer. But yet again, just staying aware and making sure that you're just aware of your surroundings.
And just going back to those 2 arrests earlier today, the Attorney General here, Liz Murrill, saying if you are helping these hiding inmates, you will be prosecuted.
More than a year after authorities raided Sean Diddy Combs' Miami home, the special agent in charge returned to the stand in the rapper's federal sex trafficking trial. He testified that investigators found AR-15 parts in Diddy's bedroom, along with a Gucci bag that contained drugs. Jurors also heard from an expert witness who explained victims may stay in abusive relationships due to fear of violence, financial control, or love for their partner. It comes days after Diddy's ex-girlfriend Cassie Ventura testified that Combs would take things away if she wasn't doing what he asked.
Sex trafficking is the difference between consent and coercion. Cassie Ventura's testimony was very important because she talked about how this was coercion, that she was being forced to do this, that she didn't want to do it.
Prosecutors are expected to call rapper Kid Cudi to the stand as early as Thursday to talk about his relationship with Ventura back in 2011. She testified last week that Combs kicked her in the back when she briefly left him and began dating Cudi. Diddy's lawyers have said evidence in the case reflects domestic violence, but not sex trafficking. It's not clear yet whether they will present a case once the prosecution rests.
It's a long trial, and we're just getting started. And we have a lot of witnesses to go. We have a lot of weeks to go. And as the summer gets hotter, I'm sure so will the trial.
Combs has pleaded not guilty to all the charges. His trial is expected to last anywhere from 8 to 10 weeks.
Air traffic controllers guiding planes into New Jersey's Newark Liberty International Airport had their 4th technology outage in less than a month. The Federal Aviation Administration says the Philadelphia-based facility lost radio frequencies for around 2 seconds on Monday morning. The agency is now investigating, but officials say all aircraft remain safely separated.
The telcos have been warning the FAA for over a decade that modern telecommunication systems will no longer accommodate this ancient signal that is emitted by the FAA systems.
The FAA also issued a ground delay at Newark on Monday due to staffing shortages. This month, Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy unveiled a plan to upgrade the country's entire air traffic control system, and the Trump administration is asking Congress for $18 billion to make the changes.
The FAA will enhance safety in our skies, reduce delays, and power the future of air travel in the United States.
The issues come as airports brace for a busy start to the summer travel season. AAA predicts more than 45 million people will travel 50 miles or more this Memorial Day. More than 3.6 million of them are expected to fly.
And what we're seeing is that perhaps people might be staying a little bit closer to home this year. Maybe they're not going to go on big vacations far away, but they're still going to go out of town.
One silver lining for people driving this Memorial Day, gas prices are down about 41 cents from a year ago.
I want to leave my house, but I got to do what I got to do. I mean, it's probably best for everybody here.
A race against time in Laurel County, Kentucky. Neighborhoods devastated by weekend tornadoes are now at risk of even more damage.
That storm that is coming in tonight is incredibly dangerous. But in the very least, we are going to see 60-mile-per-hour winds. It is simply unsafe to be around that much debris with this level of wind.
Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear telling residents to evacuate the area by 6 p.m. local time, saying anyone who stays is putting themselves severely at risk.
I've been here for 3 days now, from daylight to dark. We leave after it gets dark and haul it and put it places and just trying to get it moved out so you can salvage whatever you can.
His order came as residents spent another day cleaning up after days of deadly tornadoes, thunderstorms, and heavy rain. The extreme weather killing more than 24 people and impacting thousands from Texas to Virginia.
I found me some shoes today and some more pictures and just memories because they say more storms are coming, so we've got to get things cleaned up before more storms get in here.
While volunteers are helping in the cleanup process, officials warn residents to stay alert. Incoming storms could bring damaging winds, hail, tornadoes, and possible flash flooding. Governor Beshear also telling folks in Kentucky not to rely on NOAA radios for weather alerts, as the system will be down for the next several days as part of scheduled system updates.
Coming up, outdoor activities to start summer right. What to do with Pope Leo's old Dalton home. And take a ride on the region's newest and scariest coaster. Fox 32 Chicago. For breaking news and big events, turn us on.
Great to see our Bears fans here.
Covering the action live.
And we'll take Colston Loveland. Oh, wow.
On air and Fox Local.
This was a major bombshell.
Severe thunderstorm warning is remaining in effect.
When news happens, turn to Fox 32 Chicago. Kick back, catch up with Fox Local Weekends. Relive our best stories of the week. You gotta see it. Watch anytime. Weekends at Fox 32 on Fox Local.
Talk about summer, because I think this weekend is the unofficial kickoff to summer. So thinking about summer in Chicago, you probably want to make your plans without draining your wallet. So you're in luck, because there are so many affordable activities to do around Chicago this summer. And Choose Chicago is here to tell us about them. Which, by the way, you're expecting a baby. Congratulations.
I am expecting a baby this summer.
Yes.
This is a very busy summer for everyone, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is Steve Crano. He's the manager of corporate communications for Choose Chicago. So let's talk about the free events first that you recommend in Chicagoland for residents.
How much time do we have? 20 minutes? 30 minutes?
Right?
Okay.
Let's sit for 45.
Let's get into it, right? So Chicago is just popping with free events. Tons of things to do all year long. A few coming up soon that I would recommend people put on their calendars right now.
Okay.
We got the Chicago Blues Fest, June 5th through 8th. It's going to be amazing. I wish I could see all of it. I have some things going on, but I'm so excited to see Mavis Staples close it out Sunday night.
Where's this going to be
It's going to be amazing. Pritzker Pavilion, just down the street. I can actually see it from here.
Okay. Yes. How many years have they done this? Do we know?
You know, I don't know.
Off the top of your
it's
head?
a long-running event, and it's one of the largest free blues festivals in the world.
I remember this.
Yeah.
I covered it like 6 years ago.
Absolutely.
And it's so
Oh, it's been
fun.
going on way longer than that.
They make
yeah.
T-shirts, and everyone comes out and has a good time.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Okay,
and it's
so
put on
that's
by the Chicago Department of Cultural Affairs and Special Events, or DCASE, who really manage so many of the big festivals in Chicago.
Okay.
Other things, obviously June is Pride Month. You know, the Pride Parade is coming Sunday, June 29th, and that is up in the North Halsted area in Lakeview. Super fun event. If you haven't been, so much energy, an incredible thing to experience in Chicago.
Awesome. Okay, now let's talk about outdoor activities, attractions. I think especially with the weather, how it's been so cloudy and gloomy, we kind of have cabin fever. So if people want to get outside, where should they go?
Summertime in Chicago is all about being outside, right? And the first thing that I think of, and so many Chicagoans think of, Lake Michigan, obviously. We have 26 miles of lakefront. Go run, go bike, go jog, just go hang out with your friends at the beach. My personal favorites are up in Rogers Park, Loyola Beach, and then down at the 63rd Street Beach.
Nice.
That pavilion, one of the hidden gems of the Park District.
Yeah.
Nobody talks about it enough.
Yes.
But also, you know, the iconic Chicago Riverwalk, incredible experience, the only thing like it in the US, I think. Go check out the 606 Trail. Just go check out one of our 500 parks, right? Like, Chicago's an incredible outdoor city.
So what about education? So kids are out of school, we still want to keep those brains sharp. What should they do?
There's lots of free, enriching, family-friendly activities to get into in Chicago. I would recommend the Lincoln Park Zoo. Always free, and there's always activities.
Best.
It's so cool.
The best.
It's really nice. You can just walk from the neighborhood. You're eating lunch in a beautiful little urban bistro, and you walk 10 minutes and you're in a zoo.
Yes.
How cool is that?
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Nothing like it.
Yeah, so they have activities and pop-ups and activations all summer long. They're super fun. Our museums, so many of our museums have free days throughout the summer. I encourage folks to go on choosechicago.com and find those days.
Okay.
One of my favorites is Tuesdays on the Terrace at the Museum of Contemporary Art, or the MCA. Super fun. Great jazz usually playing in the back, so you can see some live music. Go stroll through the museum. They have a beautiful garden in the back, sculpture garden. And then, of course, you know, again, parks, getting out, exploring our urban wetlands, the Wild Mile up near Goose Island is a new thing in the past couple of years that is just a beautiful place. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yes, so many species of birds and wildlife, aquatic animals.
Whoa.
Great place to take your kids.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so Choose Chicago. Is it choosechicago.com?
ChooseChicago.com. Find free and inexpensive things to do all summer long.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, you guys.
I have cared for countless youth who have misused weight loss supplements and then developed an eating disorder that became so significant that they had to be hospitalized.
Dr. Jason Nagata is a pediatrician who specializes in adolescent eating disorders and a member of the American Academy of Pediatrics.
I've seen 10-year-old patients who are able to get these products, misuse them, even overdose on them without their parents knowing, and then some of them have gone on to develop an eating disorder.
Nagata says national surveys show 66% of teenage girls across the U.S. are actively trying to lose weight.
Which is, I think, an astounding percent. Like most teenage girls today, if you ask them, are trying to lose weight. Now, not all of them will be using diet pills to do that, but it's actually quite common.
Diet pills aren't the only part of the problem.
These family members came in because their son had basically tried these muscle building supplements and had a really adverse effect, an adverse health effect.
That's what led State Representative Janet Yang Rohr to write House Bill 3027. It was introduced earlier this year.
And so this bill basically says if you're under 18, you cannot buy these diet pills, you cannot buy these muscle building supplements, unless you have a doctor's note or maybe a parent with you.
If you read the label, Yang Rohr points out that many of these products already say for 18 and over. Right now, there aren't any rules or regulations for retailers to make sure the consumer buying these products is at least 18.
This type of legislation, it has passed actually other states as well. It passed in New York pretty recently, and there's legislation in states like California.
Dr. Nagata has also consulted with several other states who are working on passing similar legislation.
And I think that the goal behind this is really the prevention of eating disorders. And so a lot of advocates for young people with eating disorders or their concerned parents and other providers have been really pushing for this at individual states.
In some cases, it's young people themselves who are leading the charge for this new law. 18-year-old Caleb Song is a senior at Adlai Stevenson High School.
We have a policy brief that we typically send out so that legislators have something to work off of, and then from there we can work with them to create something that would work within the respective state.
He is part of a national youth advocacy group called Out of Kids' Hands, which is also part of an eating disorder prevention program based out of the Harvard Chan School of Public Health. Caleb and other teens across the country are trying to drum up support for bills like Yang Rohr's by contacting their state lawmakers and other organizations. While every generation has struggled with pressure to look good, Song says it's a little harder now because of social media.
So I definitely think that because of the fact that algorithms now exist to feed people this information, it has definitely been more exacerbated.
The FDA does not regulate diet pills or supplements, so it's up to the states to implement any restrictions on who can or can't buy these products. As for Yang Rohr's bill, it's passed the Public Health Committee and has now been referred to the Rules Committee.
You've never been to the Indy 500, you've never been to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We want to give you an inside look of what it's like going inside. Come along. That was a little bit of a hike. Now we're in Pagoda Plaza. I want to take you over to the bricks, though. These bricks date back to 1909. A lot of people, look, they stand, they take pictures next to them. These date back a very, from 1909. They're super old, and they actually stretch. This kind of 3-foot section stretches all the way onto the racetrack. The Indianapolis Motor Speedway is so big that inside of the Speedway you could put a Churchill Downs, a Yankee Stadium, the Rose Bowl, the Roman Coliseum, and Vatican City. That's how big this is. But we want to take you a little bit closer to the track. Come along. All right, guys, we're coming up on Gasoline Alley. There it is. This is where people hang out, the garages. I'll point this out. The garages are right back there. Here comes, look at this. Here comes a car right now. Car number 83 coming down Gasoline Alley. Gonna go all the way down Gasoline Alley. This is where people stop for autographs, stop for pictures. The drivers are so great. They normally accommodate. No driver here. The driver might already be out there or coming after. So right down Gasoline Alley, all the way down to the track. So now we're in the garages. This is where all the technicians, the engineers, we're actually following a car back to its garage, which is right up here. Take a look at this over here, car number 4. This is where David Malukas, we've spent some time with him. He's our local guy from the suburbs of Chicago. This car just got off the track, just got done racing from the garages. Now we got to see the track. Let's go see the track. It's getting louder. All right, we're in pit lane right now. This is pit lane. You see all these different stands. This is car number 28. All these, this is where all the cars hang out right on the track. The track is right beyond where all those guys are standing, right over there, where the cars come in, get worked on. And we've got car after car after car. So this is pit lane. You can smell the gasoline, you can smell the fumes. This is where all the action happens. That was a lot of walking. I think we deserve a little treat. Let's go get something. We got 'em. Classic Indiana dish is this. A giant pork tenderloin, a breaded pork tenderloin. This is your treat. What do I fold it? We're gonna fold it. No, I can't fold it. I can't fold it. All that walking, this is what you deserve at the end of a day at the Indy 500.
The homeowner and any potential buyers may have little control over what happens next. Under the law, the village has first dibs and the right to purchase the property at fair market value, even if someone else is willing to pay more.
Life before the Vatican for the world's first American pope began right here in Dalton.
Which is kind of cool.
The exact address, 212 East 141st Place.
We will do what the Archdiocese thinks is best to preserve the home.
Now Dalton police squads are regularly stationed outside Pope Leo XIV's boyhood home, following an influx of visitors that neighbors like Donna Sanye Davis, who lives next door, have seen since Robert Francis Prevost was elected pontiff.
From France, from Italy, people are coming and praying, touching the house to be healed. I saw a young lady do that.
The current owner bought and remodeled the brick house before realizing the significance it would soon carry.
It was on the market for $199,000, and then Pope Leo was made pope, and he took it off the market.
Village attorney Bert Odelson says over the last several days, the house made its way onto Paramount Realty USA's auction site. Bids will be accepted starting June 18th, but a letter Odelson just sent could stall the sale before it ever hits the auction block.
So that everybody, not just in Dalton or the south suburbs, but worldwide, can come to his home.
While exact plans are in the early stages, the village is working with the Chicago Archdiocese to turn the home into a historic site, a welcome vision for some residents.
It fit right with me because I am a person who loves God. I spend a lot of time in prayer. Public use is definitely necessary.
We are still waiting on a statement from the realtor and the homeowner. In the meantime, the village is moving forward with plans to rename the street the honorary Pope Leo XIV Place.
Coming up, an exhibit to get your spidey senses tingling, taking a bite out of Chicago's hottest bag of chips. And we end the week with a scream.
The viewer in the morning really needs to have a good feeling for what it's going to be like for the rest of the day.
I've got 3 kids myself, so I set out their clothes Monday through Friday, which you can do too based on our 7-day forecast. The last thing that you want to have to think about is, what is my kid going to be wearing to school? What do I need in the morning?
Having grown up here, having spent about 30 years in this market predicting the weather, you not only get really familiar with the weather, but with the needs of your audience. And that's what it means to be the Weather Authority.
last like 3 hours, it seems like. And I love roller coasters. It's just that this seems so scary. I'm with Rachel. You're moral support for me here at Green America, but also you're the one who knows all the facts that I can't really reiterate right now because I'm just that nervous. We're starting the ride now, and we're starting our rise to the really big drop.
Yeah, you got it. So the coolest thing I think about Wrath of Rakshasa is that it's a record-breaking dive coaster. So it has the steepest drop on any dive coaster and the most inversions on any dive coaster in the world.
How far are we about to drop right now?
So we are getting to the drop, and I'm getting a little nervous because it is a beyond vertical 96-degree drop at 171 feet in the air.
Are we ready?
Okay, Rachel, here we go.
I'm gonna hold your hand. I feel like
It's gonna. We can hold hands. We can hold hands. All right, so here we are. It's holding us. We're staring straight down. Here we go. We're going 60 miles an hour. Oh my gosh. We are I'm in first. Gabby, you got this. We are going so fast. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness.
We did it. Oh, my earpiece fell out. Let me get it back on. You guys, Rachel,
that was it.
That was amazing. Okay, this opens up May 31st for anyone who wants to come.
Yes.
And I was telling you earlier, it's actually a hack to come on a rainy, cold day because there's not as long of a line as I'm hearing from people who work here. This is perfect. Guys, how did I do?
Gabby, a true
I wasn't that
professional. I don't know how
scared,
you're
was
still
I?
talking.
Let's go again.
Like, just re-rack it.
I
The whole
wasn't
thing.
that scared, right? Yeah, and then here's the funny thing. I have to write this again in about 10 seconds. So.
Oh, you are going to do it again.
We're in front of the legendary JP Graziano and Company because you're about to meet a Chicago entrepreneur who has taken all of Chicago's iconic food flavors and turned them into an irresistible potato chip. And JP Graziano was her first customer. Let's go inside. You can meet her. So this is what I'm talking about. It's called local style chips. This is the latest flavor, but meet the brains behind these Chicago-style potato chips. Laura Gardner, thank you so much for doing this with. Okay, I have to know, how did this idea come about?
I love potato chips and I love Chicago food, and I just couldn't get the idea out of my head that these two things needed to live together. And I was laid off a year ago, and I had some extra time on my hands to daydream about some international travel that I had done over the years. And when you travel to different countries, the potato chip flavors are so interesting and so amazing, and they celebrate the local cuisine of these different countries. And I just thought to myself, why don't we have this in Chicago? Chicago is the best food city in the world, and we need this.
My favorite flavor is the hot jarred, of course, right? Kind of off of our design and labeling of our giardiniera. Laura, made me feel incredible when she said that this was kind of designed with our product in mind.
Honestly, it tastes like a Chicago-style hot dog. You can kind of taste like some relish.
A spicy Italian beef. Yeah, it's very good.
Also deep dish flavor.
Got the Chicago dog. Taste the mustard, a little celery salt.
Gee, I don't know which one's my favorite, but local style, Chicago, you guys are gonna love this. It's gonna be everywhere. Thank you. Seriously,
Thank you so much,
awesome.
Sylvia.
Which was your favorite?
Guys, I am geeking out. Jake Hamilton here, Griffin MSI, with the kind of exhibition that is beyond amazing. It is their new Spider-Man exhibition, opens today. We're taking you inside in full comic book fashion. We got my man Patrick, who is the curator of this incredible thing. Patrick, I gotta say, this is such a beautiful love letter to one of the most iconic characters in pop culture history. A lot of us know Spider-Man from the movies, but he's a lot more than that.
Oh yeah, Spider-Man was created in 1962 by Steve Ditko and Stan Lee, and we have over here a copy of his very first appearance ever, Amazing Fantasy 15 from 1962.
Now listen, if you're a fan of comic books, this is one of the holy grails, I would say, but if you've ever seen anything to do with Spider-Man, it can all be traced to what we're looking at right now. Is that correct?
Absolutely. It's really crazy that it all begins right there in that little booklet, in that little pieces of paper, and that this is a series. It's Amazing Fantasy 15. It wasn't even his own.
It wasn't even a Spider-Man comic book.
It was the final issue of a series that was already canceled, and they sort of tossed this idea in there because they wanted a place for it. They believed in it, and it outsold everything else that they published that month.
Well, speaking of success, right now we're looking at one of Tom Holland's costumes from one of the recent Marvel MCU Spider-Man films, and it's wild to think from a comic book that was being canceled to one of the biggest movie franchises of all time, the impact that this character has had on pop culture, movies, comic books, TV shows, cartoons, over 50 plus years. And you know, one of the things I love most about Spider-Man is you can't have a Spider-Man without some of the most iconic villains of all time, and you guys pay tribute to those as well.
Absolutely. It's really great doing something like this because what we get to show is the entirety of Spider-Man and Spider-Man's appeal. It transcends any one form of media. There are video gamers who maybe have never read a comic book but know Spider-Man as a video game character. There are people who are obsessive comic fans. There are kids who know Spider-Man from the Spidey and His Amazing Friends preschool cartoon. And there's all these different access points that people have. We get to bring it all together and tell it as one sort of cohesive story of Spider-Man and all the related Spider-Verse characters.
I mean, case in point, you look here, you've got these beautiful pieces of comic art, really beautiful art, and I'm not overusing that word, and then you've got some Doc Ock movie props from Spider-Man 2, which is my personal favorite Spider-Man movie. But then what I love over here is you've got a really cool case of stuff that I feel like is going to make people say, wait a second, I had that. I had one of those. My mom threw that out.
Yeah, absolutely. We have the original art. We have the props and costumes that we're seeing on screen that are on loan from Sony Pictures. We also have this sort of display of memorabilia showing all of the different ways that people may have interacted with or encountered Spider-Man over the years.
It's truly unbelievable. Patrick, incredible job. Thank you for doing this, man. On behalf of all of us who are going to enjoy this, we appreciate all your hard work, man. We appreciate you.
Thank you. We appreciate you. This exhibition doesn't mean anything until we have people in it.
Well, I can honestly tell you, people have been walking in since we've been here, and you hear, oh my God. I mean, that's got to be the ultimate vindication, right?
Absolutely. You know, as someone working in museums, you come up with these plans, you draw up the thing, but it's like being a musician. You don't actually know what's happening until it's out there in the world and the audience is reacting to it.
Well, I am reacting by geeking out, man. So again, I appreciate you. All right, guys, this new Spider-Man exhibition kicks off today, runs through February. It's msichicago.org. You're going to want to get a separate ticket than the normal one you'll get to come into MSI. But here's the deal. It's going to be incredibly popular. So you want to make sure it's a timed exhibition. You want to know exactly when you're going to be able to come in here. If you roll in on Memorial Day and expect to just be able to walk right in, it's probably not going to work out for you. So for now, I'm going to keep geeking out. We're Jake Hamilton, Griffin MSI, the new Spider-Man exhibition. Patrick, can I take one of these home?
I'm afraid not.
Yes? Yes? Yeah? All right, I'll take, let's see, we'll get a couple. Oh, I gotta go.
This has been your Fox 32 Week in Review. Have a happy and safe Memorial Day weekend. See you again next week.
The social media role of what we do here is really vital.
My favorite platforms to be able to connect to the viewer is really Instagram, Facebook, as well as YouTube. I try daily to post updates. I really think Instagram is helpful. We can send out stories that are up to date.
We have to meet our viewers where they are, across all platforms, across all media.
Using every available tool to get important weather information to you. That's what it means to be the Weather Authority.